Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video I'd like to discuss clips previewing the now notorious ITV interview which Rishi Sunak chose to insult veterans and much of the public to record last Thursday. But first of all, need to say, this was a really bad time to start getting ill. As I was originally recording this video, started to feel a bit faint, so it will now be audio recordings until I'm better. More bad timing, but never mind, I still probably feel better than Rishi Sunak, especially after the interview airs this evening. We were told it was bad. We were warned about it, and although the full interview has not been broadcast as I'm doing this video, it's worth discussing one clip which has... There have been multiple clips, but there's one in particular that really gets to the heart of how Rishi Sunak and his team, not just him, do not understand the first thing, and I mean the first thing about political strategy. I have never seen a campaign run so badly. I've seen campaigns where basic errors were made that a professional outfit should not have made. I've seen campaigns where bad luck intervened, although they should still have protected themselves from it, but I've never seen anything like this. Now, the summary of the clip in question is that Rishi Sunak is asked, given that he's so wealthy, how can he be in touch with ordinary people's problems? Sunak responds that he's had to do without things. Oh, really? Like what? And then he says Sky TV. Now, that's bad. But the full exchange is even worse, but I'll get onto that in a moment. First, let's look at why this tactic is so bad. After Sunak became Prime Minister, Labour were able to cut through with two key lines of attack against him. The first is that he was a weak leader. His cowardice during the Privileges Committee investigation into Boris Johnson was ample evidence of that, but there was also the obvious way he was appeasing the swivel-eyed loons in his party, pursuing daft policies instead of addressing people's real concerns. And there's been further evidence today. Andrea Jenkins, Conservative MP, has produced a campaign leaflet which features her stood next to a smiling Nigel Farage. Doesn't say she's a Conservative on the flyer. So she's literally endorsing effectively the leader of a rival political party, and yet Rishi Sunak, we know he's not going to withdraw Conservative Party support from her. The second fruitful line was that he was out of touch. Now, anyone at the top of politics is financially secure. There's no top politician who will be struggling like ordinary families do now. Some may have experienced it in the past, including several on Labour's top team, but not in the here and now. So it's not always easy to attack a politician for being out of touch, when it could be argued that in terms of the lived experience right now, they all are. But Sunak made it easy by never being able to describe the problems people have. Worse, he behaved as if they weren't really problems at all. Do you remember the old, oh, just hold tight, we just need to get through this, hold tight and it'll all be fine? Yeah, his idea of holding tight was doing without food for some people. Most politicians may not be experiencing privations because an MP's salary is good enough, especially if you are at the top of politics, but they can at least tell you how ordinary people are struggling in order to demonstrate that they understand and empathise. Rishi Sunak was never able to do this. So a well-crafted Conservative election campaign would absolutely need to have a plan to avoid opponents levelling these charges at Sunak. It was already known they were an effective attack line against him. They had to be able to defend against them. And what you would absolutely not do is get Sunak to plead poverty. The fact of the matter is that Sunak has never, ever known deprivation. Not having every luxury you would like is not deprivation. When I told my fiancée what he'd said, she just laughed. She grew up in proper poverty, proper walking barefoot to the shops, bag of flour in the house, sometimes nothing more, not enough for heat and electricity at times, poverty. Deprivation is when you go below what is considered the basic standard of living. Sky TV has never been considered part of the basic standard of living. It is a luxury in anyone's book. In fact, for the first 9 years of Sunak's childhood, Sky didn't even exist. So he certainly wasn't being deprived of it then. There was no chance of defending against the out-of-touch line by trying to claim that Sunak had personal experience of doing without. Their best bet would have been to use the line that he talks regularly with people from all walks of life, listens to what they have to tell him, because that's all you can ask a politician to do, and then to say how he wants to work to provide the advantages that he had in life for others. not to deny those obvious advantages. That can work. Just don't ask homeless people if they work in business. You should be fine. And this is what I mean about useless advisors. The accusation of being out of touch was a known quantity for over a year, and they knew it was cutting through. They should have had lots of discussions about how to deal with it. So this response in the interview wasn't just Rishi Sunak being useless. It was his entire team. They must have told him, just pretend you do know what it's like to be without. That must have been the considered line. Who would employ anyone who's worked with Sunak on this campaign? Who? They'd have to be mad. But so far, I've just gone over the summary of what he said. This is one of those rare occasions when describing it simply cannot do it justice. You're going to have to see for yourself to appreciate the full horror of the moment.
When you are wealthier than the king, what do you do day to day to make sure you're still in touch with the kind of struggles ordinary people face? Have you ever gone without something?
Yeah, I mean, my family emigrated here with very little, and that's how I was raised. I was raised with the values of hard work.
What did you go without as a child?
We went out with lots of things, right? Because my parents wanted to put everything into our education, and that was a priority.
So what sort of things had to be sacrificed?
Lots of things, right?
Can you give me an example of
all sorts
something?
of things. So, like lots of people, there'll be all sorts of things that I would have wanted as a kid that I couldn't have, right? Famously, Sky TV.
Okay.
So that was something that we never had growing up, actually. But it was lots of things. But
So, be honest, as bad as you thought it was when you saw a description, that's worse, isn't it? The clip has been seen by millions of people on Twitter alone, so let's break down how awful this is. So, he claims his parents came here with very little. So little that his dad was able to set up as a GP and his mum run a pharmacy. But they were able to send him to one of the very top private schools in the country as well, Winchester. So he's asked what he had to go without, because the interviewer is a little bit suspicious. Oh, lots of things, lots of things. So he's then asked again, like what? Oh, lots of things. Then the nervous laughter comes out. Always comes out when he knows he's in trouble, but too damn stupid to know how to make the situation better. Can you give me an example? All sorts of things. And after rabbiting on for a little bit more, he then comes out of it. What did he do with that? Was it food some days? Was it heating in winter? Did the electricity go off now and then? Did the phone get cut off now and then? Did he, is it something relatively simple like not having his own room? No. His privation was he couldn't have Sky TV. Pissing Sky TV. If I were a Conservative candidate, I'd be begging Rishi Sunak to just stop talking. Ignore the media. Don't do interviews. It's less damaging to say nothing than to say something at this point. It's clear now he's incapable of winning back support to the party. Like before the election, people would write in the comments, Sunak will just hide like Johnson did. And I kept saying he couldn't afford to. Johnson was ahead and defending a lead. He could afford. Every interview for him was an opportunity to slip up and lose that lead. So he could afford to hide. Sunak would be behind and needing to make gains. You cannot win support by spending the entire election in a fridge. And yet wisdom may now suggest that he should actually just go and live in a cave for the next 3 weeks. If the Tories are lucky, some undecided voters will vote Tory for a laugh on July the 4th, and the Tories will not do quite as bad as the polling is suggesting. But it is really clear that Sunak is not going to personally win any converts to his party. He is the prize asset of Labour and the Lib Dems right now. And when he says he couldn't have Sky TV, I mean, with someone like Rishi Sunak, that's not actually clear what he means, is it? Does that mean his house didn't have Sky TV? Or just that he didn't have his own personal feed into his bedroom? Or that he wasn't allowed to buy a stake in the company? It's not clear with Sunak, is it? What is clear is that we now need to watch this interview. I'll be busy at 7 p.m, unfortunately, but I'll be watching it on catch-up. I suppose the damage is limited by the fact Sunak has already lost a lot of the support he could lose. So maybe it won't make things worse for him, but it sounds like it's certainly going to stop him making things better. Right now, the best advice the Tories could get is probably, as mad as it sounds, cut their losses with Sunak, focus on a candidate-led campaign. He's launched the manifesto now, so there's technically nothing he really needs to do. Stop him campaigning, just do local stuff in the few remaining seats that they still have a chance of winning. I mean, he could still do the head-to-head debate with Keir Starmer at the end of the month. You just shout rhubarb as loudly and as often as he can. Sure, why not? But other than that, no point doing anything, I think, at this point. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe for further content and click the like button. You can also sign up for memberships if you'd like to support the channel further. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.